Minnesota game approaching. The Packers get good and bad injury news that we will talk about in this video. First, I would love for you guys to leave your comments. I know Packer fans travel very well. Where are you planning on watching this weekend's matchup against Minnesota? Are you going to be planning on going to the game in Minnesota? Where are you going to be watching the game? Leave your comments. I know it's a very pivotal game for the Packers, not just for playoff seeding purposes, but because this is a year in which you got swept by Detroit and you already have one loss against Minnesota. The Packers have been playing really good football. You can't have a loss like this to Minnesota. So a very important game for the Packers with the playoffs approaching. They need to keep that momentum, and they can't get swept by Minnesota and Detroit in the same year. So let's talk about the injuries to the Packers. Well, test Tuesday showed no structural damage to Christian Watson's left knee, which is great news for Packer fans. He says, Matt LaFleur says, we got good news on him talking about Christian Watson. So more just a bruise when the guy fell on him on the sideline. You still got to be able to function. So we'll see where he is at and how he practices as the week progresses. He wasn't at practice today, Thursday, but Christian Watson, a very important guy to this Packer offense. I probably wouldn't have been saying it at the beginning of the season because we've been so used to not seeing Christian Watson out there, but having him there all year without any injuries has been very good to see for us Packer fans and the Packer organization, because this is a deep threat for the Packers and his ability to stretch the defense, opening up the middle of the field. Guys like Tucker Kraft have been able to capitalize on his downfield threat. Christian Watson has a 70.6 PFF score. He's got 620 yards receiving, 2 touchdowns, not sexy numbers, not crazy flashy numbers. But again, he does more like stretch the field, opening up things for the Packers offense, the middle of the field, and then some. Okay, so as it is right now, he ranks second in yards per reception with 21.4 and second in average depth per chart at 19. So Jordan Love, one of his favorite targets as far as deep ball threats. Okay, so another great news for the Packers on the injury front is that Packers received promising development for their defensive backfield in Javon Bullard, which is great news. It says Javon Bullard, after missing 2 games with an ankle injury that he sustained against Detroit, he didn't have a normal practice Wednesday, returning to Monday after Monday night's game, but Bullard was listed as a limited participant as the practice on the team's estimation. We do know that he was there today at today's practice. So great news for the Packers, because Evan Williams is probably going to be out for the remainder of the regular season. According to what Matt LaFleur said, he says, we'll hopefully get him back, hopefully in time for the playoffs, talking about Evan Williams. So not great news for the Packers when it comes to safety rookie Evan Williams. Xavier McKinney, Evan Williams, one of the better duo of safeties in the league. So what is it going to look like for the Packers having probably without Evan Williams for the remainder of the regular season? This dude is super talented, 72.6 PFF score. He's got 1 pick, 1 forced fumble. He's able to do a lot of good things for this Packer defense, which means probably the Packers are going to be moving Keyshawn Nixon to the middle. If Javon Bullard's able to play, they're probably going to play him alongside Xavier McKinney. Javon Bullard, overall PFF score, not great numbers as a rookie, but his ability to his run defensive grade of a 67.4. The guy is great, I think, as a run defensive defender there. Keyshawn Nixon is probably going to be moving inside. Keyshawn Nixon has had a very good season for the Packers. Again, not sexy numbers when you're looking at his overall PFF score of a 65.8. But the dude is able to do more than just that. He's got 1 interception on the year and 3 forced fumbles. So he's got 4 takeaways this season. He ranks second in sacks with 3. So the pressures that he's been able to do and get out there, he also ranks first in assisted tackles and 5th in total pressures at 8. So this guy has been very disruptive for a lot of offenses out there. Keyshawn Nixon having a very good year for the Packers, but the Packers getting good and bad injury news. When it comes to Javon Bullard returning, great news. When it comes to Jaire Alexander, again, full participant in practice, but he was, last week, he was the week before. I thought he was going to play against the Saints, but overall, the Packers coaching staff looked at his film, throughout his practice last week and just thought he wasn't able to go and be effective. But absolutely, Jaire Alexander is going to be needed against Justin Jefferson and Addison. So it'll be great to get Jaire Alexander back. I'm pretty confident that he will be out there. Leave your comments, and as always, go Pack Go.